This video is sponsored by Milanote. There's no doubt about it, looking at the weather apps and seeing the rain beat against your window can put off even the hardiest of outdoor photographers. But in my opinion, with careful planning, there's always photos to be had. So we studied the maps and found several locations that would offer shelter from the driving wind and rain. So join us as we battle the elements in search of some amazing photos. So, welcome to the shores of Loch Maree here in the Northwest Highlands of Scotland. Absolutely beautiful place. Now, as we spoke about earlier when we were looking at the maps, we've got the Ben A mountain range to our right and the wind is coming directly that way, which means we've got shelter here on the loch shore. You know it's windy when waterfalls are going upwards, and that's what's happening right across there on the opposite mountain. Yeah, so really high gusting winds today, around the 60-mile-an-hour mark. So shooting those type of winds is very, very difficult, and that's why we've chose this location. Henry is a bit further around the headland there, checking it out up there. I'm going to stay here for a bit. I'd quite like to see if I could get a shot of those upward flowing waterfalls. I think that might be quite unique, especially if we get some light on the mountain. You can't always rely on the forecast, can you? So putting yourself out there and giving yourself the best possible opportunity to capture an image is what it's all about, especially on days like today. So let's keep our fingers crossed for an image or two. So I've been walking up and down the shoreline here of Loch Maree, looking for something, maybe a break in the clouds or some light. Nothing much has happened just yet, but I've come across this old Caledonian pine here, and the roots are all exposed down here in the foreground. I think it looks really interesting. And just beyond, we've got a tree. I'm not sure what it is. It might be a birch that's gone all kind of twisted and gnarly, and its growth has been very stunted for whatever reason, probably because it's on this rocky shoreline. But yeah, it makes a very interesting subject, I think. I don't think it's a world-beating image by any stretch of the imagination, but it's very, very interesting. And sometimes that's enough, isn't it, just to spark you to get the camera out of the bag. So I'm going for a vertical composition here at 16mm. So I'm using the lead in line of this root system here to guide the eye into the scene, to look further into the image. And because the skies are quite overcast at the minute, I'm using overhanging branches of this Caledonian pine to fill the top part of the frame. And then we can just see the mountain range over the other side of the loch. So yeah, I think it's quite an interesting composition. There isn't a huge amount of light in the scene, which would have been nice, but you're just kind of working with the conditions, aren't you? And just trying to piece together a thoughtful composition. I think I've got that, so I am going to take this shot. At the minute we're at 25th of a second, and sometimes when the wind just gusts we get a bit of movement into the top part of the tree there. Sometimes it looks nice, other times it's too much motion. So I'm just playing around, taking a few different shots, and we'll see if I like the ones with the motion or without. But yeah, quite an interesting little scene this, and fun to compose. Yeah, quite difficult to get the leading lines to work in the right way. Sometimes we had a bit of a clearing down here to the right, which was a little bit dull. So yeah, just a case of moving around with the camera to get the best out of the composition. Anyway, 25th of a second, f11, ISO 125, 2-second timer. As mentioned, planning is definitely key for getting the best out of bad weather days, but tying that information together, I think, is vital for using it efficiently. Now, Milanote are kindly sponsoring this week's video, and regular viewers of the channel may already know that I'm a big fan and I use it on a daily basis. So let me show you how I use Milanote to plan this photo shoot. So as I'm planning a photo shoot, I'm gathering information, and I like to tie it all together so it's all in one place. The Milanote is a fantastic app for that, and it helps you to collect notes, photos, videos, tasks, and group them all together in a way that helps us to organise creative projects. It really is a game changer, and I just wouldn't be without it now. So as mentioned at the start of the video, I did lots of planning for this photo shoot because Henry and I wanted to avoid as much of that bad weather as possible. And I brought all of that information together using Milanote so I can access it quickly as and when needed when we're out in the field. So let's come up to the Scotland bad weather photo shoot board, and this will take us to the board where you can see an overview of the whole planned shoot. I've got checklists of equipment that I need to take. I've got useful information such as my journey, local weather and places to eat. I've also got some photos that I've previously shot as reminders of what's available in the area, and these are kept in a subboard. Each one of these icons is a new board, so if we click on this we can see my photos that I shot a couple of days ago, which I may revisit if conditions are better this time out. If we go back to the main board, I've also got my packing list, which is great because I can bring this up on my phone, and as I pack my camera gear I can check items off as I go, making sure nothing is left behind because I'm always leaving gear behind, and there's nothing worse, is there? Another thing I love is the ability to share a board with someone else. So for example, I could share this board with Henry, so he would have all of this info on his phone too, which can be super handy, especially if you get split up on the day, for example. One of the things I love about Milanote is just how easy it is to use. And I've built these boards myself, but they've got over 100 built-in templates that you can use to get you started. Now, Milanote is available for free with no time limit, so if you fancy being super organised on your next photography trip, be sure to check out the link in the video description to get started with Milanote. So let's get back to the shores of Loch Maree, where I ended up taking one of my favourite images of the trip. So one thing is for certain, there's no guarantees when it comes to either the weather or landscape photography. And what I mean by that, I think it's absolutely okay, isn't it, to take average or even bad photos and actually enjoy the experience. And the reason for this is, I think the further you get on into your landscape photography career, the more difficult it is to put an image into your portfolio. And you know, I think it's a numbers game really. The more photographs you take, the more chance you've got of getting one onto your website or onto your Instagram page. So yeah, it's absolutely fine, I think, to take average or bad photos. It's all a case of enjoying the process, enjoying the experience of composing the image. You know, the image back there that I took was, you know, an okay image. It was average at best. Oh my gosh. It was okay at best, but I thoroughly enjoyed piecing together the composition, you know, taking 15 or 20 minutes out of my time just to enjoy the moment, take the photograph and then move on. So yeah, I'm sure something else is going to happen today. I've got that feeling. So mate, you get anything good?
Yeah, just trying to make it work, man. You know, with obviously the weather conditions aren't great, and just experimenting really. I think it's another thing to do in these sorts of conditions is take the weight off your shoulders and just play around with your photography. I think it's so important. Don't put so much pressure on yourself.
It's a great piece of advice, you know, from Henry there. Experimenting when you can, whenever you get a day like today, like, and the conditions are not absolutely perfect, just take that time to experiment with things that you perhaps wouldn't normally try. And I really like Henry's last little shot there. He's showing a little bit of motion, a little bit of movement in those Scots pine branches, framing the mountain peak beyond. So yeah, just playing around with little different intimate compositions. You could lose yourself for hours. It's great. We've moved a bit further down Loch Maree to a location that Henry's shot before several years back. And we thought we'd come and check it out to see if it was working. Now the cloud has come down. You can barely see the mountains in the background, but the foreground we've got here is absolutely wonderful. A beautiful stand of Scots pine trees on this little island here. Absolutely wonderful. Now the skies are really moody too, so I think this could make an interesting photograph, even though the conditions are, yeah, very claggy, very misty. So we're going to get set up. Absolutely beautiful. So, as I mentioned before, Henry found this composition some years ago, and it is an absolutely beautiful subject. We've got 5 Scots pines trees on this island. We've got Sleoch in the background, and the cloud is so heavy right now. Actually, there's a little bit of colour in the at the top sort of section as well, which is pretty awesome. And I think it's been a case of really waiting for the cloud to be in the right place in this shot. So yeah, we're taking a few already, and I'm going to continue to shoot it over the next 20 minutes or so as the light changes and the clouds move through the scene. But proper moody, really, really nice composition this. Settings wise, it's pretty simple. 30th of a second f11, ISO 125. And some of the textures we're getting in the water in the foreground too are absolutely amazing when the wind gusts through this little channel just here. So yeah, an absolute stunner, absolutely wonderful. So when faced with extreme or bad weather like we've had today here, you know, I think planning is essential, trying to find an area that's going to offer shelter, and that's what we've achieved here down the side of this mountain. So that's allowed us to spend the whole day out here, even though we've had some rain. If we're on the other side of the mountain, we've probably only been out for maybe an hour because the wind chill was -5 on that side. So yeah, being down here is lovely and calm. It's great, to be honest. So yeah, that little bit of planning really did allow us to be out and maximise our time down here. I've thoroughly enjoyed shooting these different locations down here today, and that is the most important thing. Putting yourself out there, who knows what's gonna happen. If you enjoyed this video, you might like the one that's up here, and please be sure to check out my ebook all about landscape photography composition. That is linked up the top there and also down in the description. Anyway guys, until next week, I'll see you all very soon.